All families have rules, all families have consequences. The interesting thing is that sometimes in a lot of first-time families, you don't necessarily talk them through. When you have a step family, because you have children often living in two different households, you need to know about the rules because they can be different in different houses. And that's where perhaps the really important thing is to settle down and actually talk them through. Children in step families may be acting out. They may be angry and upset, and therefore they may be behaving badly in order to sort of register a protest. That's why you need to talk through what your rules are. They may be different in the two different families. You can accept that, discuss that. But you may want to have your own rules. And I always think the best way of doing it with children, to get them to buy into a set of rules, to get them to understand them and keep them, is to actually talk it through with them and see what they think. You'd be surprised how fair and reasonable, and how very just actually, even very young children can be if they've been able to discuss it. They may want some rules that they think are important, such as parents shouldn't smoke, or parents ought to, once a week, play board games with them, something like that. And it's that swapping around, the quid pro quo of, I have one rule that I want you to keep and I'll give you another rule in order for both of us to be happy. That can actually make those rules be accepted and stick. But I think consequences are incredibly important. And that's not necessarily punishment. I think smacking a child or punishing a child in some way isn't always the best way of getting them to keep to a rule. But recognising a consequence is, and consequences are often pretty obvious. You do something, you leave the kitchen in a mess. Being told that you've got to be confined to your room is not necessarily a fair way of doing it. Having to clear up that mess is a fair way of doing it. And again, children are the ones often that can suggest the consequences, talk them through and agree them. What you might like to do is have a family round table where you all get together, you brainstorm, you thrash out all the things that you think are important to keep this family running. What are the things that we need to agree? No pushing and shoving, no shouting, no swearing, no kicking, no answering back. People should do their homework, people should do chores. Those sorts of things that you can talk through, whatever is right for your family. Some families have rules like shoes off at the front door, hang up coats, those sorts of things. What is right for you, you agree. And then agree the consequences of when people break those rules, and agree them for you as well. This applies to adults as well as children. And then what you might want to do is actually write a contract, write down what you've all agreed, and make sure everybody keeps to it. And you can review that every week to see if it's working. What I think is interesting is you will be surprised if children are part of making the rules, how much keener they are on keeping them.